This is Blunt Talk, your source for good inspirational news only. With your host, Gino Arcaro.
Be more or be less. It's your biggest decision today. In his book, Soul of a Lifter, Gino inspires you to make the right decision. Compete on the only stage that really matters, real life. Purchase Soul of a Lifter today at Amazon.com.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Blunt Talk Podcast. We're broadcasting today from the third floor of my gym, X Fitness, Welland, Ontario, Canada. X Fitness is committed to lift in mind, body, and soul, to the celebration of good inspirational news only. Here's real life lesson number 3,741 that I've taught football players for 40 years and college law enforcement students for 2 decades. Don't excuse yourself. There's no worse sound than making excuses for losing. It's the sound of hell. I've coached 4 decades in a sport, football, that is swamped with excuse makers for losing. Referees, the weather, and of course, distractions. Those are just a few. We're too young, no experience, injuries. Those are a few more. During 15 years in policing between 1975 and 1990, and college law enforcement teaching and program coordinating between 1990 and 2010, I was swamped with excuses about why people fail to get hired as cops. The system is rigged is at the top of the list of excuses I've heard. I rarely hear the truth. Not good enough. I rarely hear we lost because we're not strong enough, not skilled enough. I rarely hear we lost because we didn't teach enough, didn't learn enough. I rarely hear we didn't lift enough in the gym. I rarely hear we didn't eat right, didn't stay sober long enough, didn't stay clean long enough. I rarely hear that we didn't study enough, didn't try hard enough, didn't stop partying long enough. I rarely hear we were lazy and complacent. I rarely hear it was my fault. Instead, I hear losers blaming people and circumstances for their losses. It's part of the 10-90 rule of excusing yourself. Over 90% make excuses for losing, less than 10% don't. The danger of excusing yourself is failing to investigate yourself. The more excuses you make for losing, the more likely you will fail to investigate yourself, your team, and the loss itself to solve the mystery of losing. Losing has one purpose only: to be studied, to be investigated, not to be excused. Instead of excusing yourself, accuse yourself. Blame the right person and you will discover the secret to winning. Top 1000 workout song of the day, I'm a Loser, by the Beatles. It's a masterpiece, ladies and gentlemen, released way back in 1966, 3 years before I started my 48-year workout streak. Ironically, I was called a loser in elementary school in 1966. Then I was called a loser by my Little League football coach in 1969. Then my entire high school football team that I played on was called a bunch of losers by coaches, friends, and enemies. I studied losing and found the secret to winning. Lifting, dual meaning, souls and weights. Both types of lifting will build strength in mind, body, and soul, 100% guaranteed. Both will change losers to winners, 100% guaranteed. I'm a Loser by the Beatles, $1.29, guaranteed to lift. Blunt Talk Podcast is on a mission to reach and lift all 7 billion humans on planet Earth. In 2.5 years, we've reached 26,000 listeners in 79 countries. Please share this podcast around the world. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Much love to our worldwide audience. Blessings and all good things. Peace.
Tune in again tomorrow for another 5-minute blast with Gino Arcaro and more excerpts from Soul of a Lifter.